Hello, welcome to the Dead Souls of Pat Sharp and Mick Brown. Pat and Mick, famous Pat and Mick.
I didn't know Mick's surname. That's the first I've heard of his surname.
Do you know what? I hope I got it right because, as I said, Mick, I kind of just guessed at Brown, but right. I think I've got it right. I think.
Do you think? Because I don't think we got Pat and Mick in Northern Ireland. We got the record, but we didn't get the culture.
No, because they were Capital Radio, so they were already extremely specific. They were London specific anyway.
Right.
And but Mick Brown used to do little show Night Network on ITV, the first of the kind of youth programming between 1 and 4. Roland Rivron, Captain Sensible popped up, and he used to do Video View, just reviewing different videos with some of the crazy people, Tyre Wilcox, that kind of thing. And Mick had a catchphrase which was "Watcher."
Oh, that's a great catchphrase.
Yeah, Watcher. There we go.
Watcher. That's something that anyone can say, isn't it? That's the good thing about that. In fact, you just said it.
Yeah, I said
you're not even Mick. Or are you Pat or Mick? Who am I? Which one am I?
You're definitely Pat, because I would say the dead soul of Pat Sharp would still have a greater amount of hair. It would still be.
I mean, can you be honest, Robyn? Do I look prettier than I looked maybe the last time you saw me?
Yeah, really. Yeah, really.
Because I got a new light. I got a light for these shows, so I could be professional. And I just want to look nice.
Have you also, because obviously you haven't got, normally you go to the barbers to have your eyebrows shaved. Have you been shaving them yourself?
No, but this is a great thing about being 51 now. I don't have eyebrows anymore. My eyebrows have long gone. They're historical eyebrows. I definitely got the place where the eyebrows should be.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking about this last night on the podcast that we did for Do the Right Thing, about the time that the barber shaved me here. That was really weird. So I must have weird hairs coming out here, but I've never seen them. But the barber thought they were distasteful.
I think you've got what I would call now homeopathic eyebrows. There is definitely potent memory of eyebrows, a very, very potent memory.
I still pluck them with my hand, out of boredom. Like when you're watching, Rise of Skywalker for the 5th time.
What?
That day.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Then, you start plucking at your eyebrows, don't you? And I haven't got any. Maybe that's why I don't have any eyebrows, but I used to have such beautiful eyebrows. People would stop me in the street, Robyn,
and say, I think you've dropped your eyebrows. Excuse me, mate, your eyebrows. You just dropped over there. Oh, bloody hell, not again. Yeah. Now, we've got a lot of things up today, so we should tell you guests. We have Penfriend, a.k.a. Laura Kidd. Penfriend is her new outfit, and she was on yesterday's morning show as well, and we want to have even more of her. We have lovely Owen Parker, who not only has worked with an enormous number of different bands and is a wonderfully creative individual, but also kindly wrote the theme tune to all of the shows that we've been doing at the Stay at Home Festival. And
I mean, it's the same theme tune. Oh, does he do all the Stay at Home Festival stuff? I didn't know that.
He wrote all the theme tunes to that.
Oh, I feel like we're cheap and used now.
Oh, yeah.
I thought we were special, and we're not.
If you'd looked more elegant, do you know what? A man with eyebrows would have persuaded me not to use Owen Parker.
That's it. I'm drawing them in.
Yeah.
From now on, I'm drawing them in.
Draw them in now, whatever Sharpie you've got handy, because
Sharpie?
Nothing would mean the lockdown was going to end tomorrow more than you going, I might as well draw my eyebrows on with a Sharpie because the lockdown's not going to end for a few months. Lockdown's over. Oh, bloody hell. I've got, so a couple of things also, and we haven't mentioned it, I think, Robyn Hitchcock. We have Robyn Hitchcock.
Our king guest.
And what worries me, of course, is for people who've regularly listened to the podcast or seen this before, they will know that Michael has quite a track record of alienating Robyn Hitchcock, of behaving badly in front of Robyn Hitchcock. So the likelihood is we will eventually go to an empty room and we'll go, Robyn Hitchcock was there, but Michael went something.
No, because I'm keeping my men. I love Robyn Hitchcock, and this will remain closed or near him.
Okay, good. Now, we're going to also say to you, by the way, there's a tip jar at the bottom of this thing. We're collecting money basically for some of the artists who are having a tough time at the moment, as many of you will have read. A lot of kind of live performing artists, they don't have the option of furloughed and those kind of things, or they're certainly finding it very difficult to get that. So we're working up to have a fund for various people who are finding it very difficult at the moment with the total lack of gigs, and also for art centres around the UK as well. We've given out at least £15,000 so far to artists and art centres from doing these shows. And so if you do donate like £1 or anything like that, anything that you've got, obviously we also want to keep the shows free as well. So you are under no pressure whatsoever to give money. But if you have got money and you're just keeping it all hidden, then, well, don't do that. You're not our kind of audience. It's like when you see someone who's dressed up like they like kind of like alternative bands, and they like Bell and Sebastian, and they've got kind of, and they're doing some knitting and everything, and you think, oh, they must be really nice. And then you see them being cruel on a train, as I saw on the way to Salisbury once. An elderly lady got on, and what I would have done if I was a real Bell and Sebastian fan who was doing the knitting and everything is go, oh, you want to sit here, right? But she didn't get up. That person didn't get up. I got up, and I was like halfway down the carriage. I said, come and sit here. She had to have a long walk, the old lady, right? She didn't even really want to sit down because she actually was just going to the loo, but it didn't matter. I'd forced her into that. What I'm saying, don't always trust people who appear. I don't want you to be one of those people who looks like a Bell and Sebastian fan or looks like a Sufjan Stevens fan and then goes to a Sufjan Stevens gig and then talks all the way through. Not good.
Okay. Do you know, I knew that story was going to come out. That's exactly what you wanted to say from the beginning.
Yes. I didn't know it was going to. Anyway, free will's an illusion, so it's none of this is my fault. Today's my show and tell, by the way, is Record Songbook, £1. This was bought. I didn't
know we had a show and tell.
Well, we didn't, but I just found it was next to me. This is from. I bought this in Lyme Regis last year. I bought it on the back. Diana Rigg.
Oh, nice.
The front, Scott Walker, and also Patrick Mower. One of the they get people writing in. Patrick Mower, now on TV's Emmerdale. You might remember him from TV's Special Branch, guest appearances in TV's The Sweeney and other things. And the request was, can we have a picture of Patrick Mower? There it is. And can we have a picture of Kenneth Williams? There it is. Classic there as well. All the pop kids wanted. When
I first moved to London in 1989, the first celebrity I saw on the streets of London was Patrick Mower. And my mind was blown. Like, I had to phone my mum. Patrick Mower was in a cafe, like being normal. He wasn't being normal. He was being Gambit or whoever it was.
Mower.
Yeah, he's been Patrick Bloody Mower, darling.
And then Scott Walker is, as I said, the feature thing. And I don't know if Robyn Hitchcock can see this yet, but I would say that is a shirt that Robyn would wear well as well. Yeah. The Scott Walker shirt. And it just says, Scott Walker, in a world where fantastic is considered normal, where incredible is every day, where sensational is commonplace, Scott Walker, to whom all these superlatives apply, remains an enigma. There we are. So that was definitely worth £1 of my money. Should we introduce Robyn Hitchcock?
Oh, God, I would love us to introduce Robyn Hitchcock.
Am I there?
Hello, you're there.
Oh, you're so there.
Do I need to touch anything?
No, I don't think so. We'll get a message. I think exactly where you are. In fact, don't touch anything. Nothing.
You can see me.
Yeah, no, this is lovely. We've actually had a note from the producer saying lovely. He never says lovely when we're on camera.
It's just arrived here, so thank you. Yeah, it's with us. Okay, I can... here we are. Where are you?
Are you in Nashville at the moment? Is that right?
From Nashville, Tennessee. I'm 6 hours behind you. And you are in, above London. Where are you, Michael?
I'm right in the very heart of central London, Lewisham. That's where I think central London. Robyn, I've got a question for you, and I think Robyn will want me to ask this question because the two of us have a problem that you have. How do you have beautiful hair?
My hair.
It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. It's quite long now. My hair's still with me. You mean?
It seems.
I
think you should still have hair because we look up to you, and I think maybe our hair, us losing our hair is giving your hair. I don't know, but either way, I want to know your secret.
You mean I've got vampire hair?
Maybe.
I think my grandmother drank the right kind of blood. That's for sure. She had good skin. My grandma was a pioneer of the Ray-Ban Wayfarer shades, you know, the ones that Bob Dylan wore, and then Andy Warhol. And anyone who wanted to hang around with Dylan in the mid-'60s had to have those shades. And my grandma had them. She was very concerned to keep out of the sunlight. She wore a headscarf and dark sunglasses, like wherever she was, you know, a bit like latter-day Princess Margaret. And I think that's... and I think my complexion and hair comes from that, really.
Now, can I say, one of my favourite things, that we did a gig together in at the Latitude Festival, probably 10 years ago now, something like that. And you did this wonderful thing where after an hour, and I don't know, you faded out. You actually, you just got quieter and quieter. and you did your own fade out, and then everyone went wild, and they were very excited. And I said to you, would you like to any more? And you went, no, I think there's nothing left in there. And I just remember that moment of performance where you go, that's enough.
Oh, well, that's good. I'm glad I was able to do that, because if I'm drunk, it's very different. You can't take me away from I get to be a bit of a stage hog, but I never drink on stage. But if it were a party, you know, or something like that, I can be quite relentless. That's why I don't drink on stage. But thank you.
Well, I think maybe that was it, because you did know there was a bottle of rosé in the dressing room, so it worked quite the opposite. Was the fact that how's your voice gone? Voice has gone. Rosé needed. I think that must have been what it was. So
it was called Lady Petrol Quest.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have a Lady Petrol when I start the encores, and then I just drone on endlessly.
No, the last time I saw you was an encore.
Did I?
Yeah, you did your whole set list backwards. It was fun. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's great.
I'm learning more and more things about Hitchcock all the time.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's great. You started with Pink Floyd cover, and then sort of went away for a minute, and then came back and did the rest of the set, which was great.
Did I play that on the piano?
No, very much on the guitar.
Sometimes I play sometimes I start the set with Astronomy Domini, the first track, first Pink Floyd LP, obviously written by Syd Barrett. And sometimes I like to imagine I'm John Cale and sit at the piano doing what I imagine John Cale's version of Astronomy Domini would be. But obviously I didn't do that then. Wow. Well, so you're in Lewisham. Are you in Berkhamsted, Robyn?
Yeah. I'm in Graham Greene territory. This is, but it is what I was going to say about the kind of the different forms of bonds that have occurred. Because for Michael, his strong bond to you is your music. Now, I like your music a great deal, but I believe our strongest bond, even stronger than your music, is our love of the work of Guy Smith's Giant Killer Crabs novels. Yes.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things, if you know about Guy Smith and somebody else does, it's a kind of Masonic thing, isn't it? I wandered through the wilderness for decades, never running across another soul who'd read Night of the Crabs. And I can't remember how I discovered that you had.
I think it was our friend Joanna Neary. I think Joanna Neary somehow got the information back. And then I rang you, and you happened to be standing near a field, and then recited about, I would say, probably a one or two paragraphs of, I think, as far as I remember, it's from the original Night of the Crabs, the one that started the whole terrifying cycle in Barmouth, which ends with a copious amount of vomiting in the dunes.
Together they vomited into the grass. God, they have Cliff and Pat go out. They have their tryst on the dunes, and after they've had their sex act, one of them says to the other, "I'm more than glad you brought me here tonight." And then this incredible, the Smithian juxtaposition of the erotic and the atrocious. Then this, the memorable bit where Bartholomew, the home of the drifter guy, kind of lollops onto the dunes, and then the crabs come for him. Jesus, yes, I did.
That's a wonderful sequence because he's wandering along the dunes, and Pat says we should do something, and he says no, we can't do anything. Go, you can shout, you can run after Bartholomew, you can grab Bartholomew. No. The best thing is just not get involved. And yet he calls himself one of the great fighters against giant killer Welsh coast crustaceans, but actually he's very sloppy, I think, sometimes in his defence of anyone that he doesn't kind of fit into his Darwinian view of those who should survive.
You mean he didn't think that Bartholomew deserved his help?
No,
I mean, in the end, I don't know if this is too much of a spoiler, but doesn't Professor Davenport himself lose a hand to the crabs? In his pipe-smoking hand.
God, like, you look so sad, Robin.
5 episodes down the line. Geez, I don't know if he's still... Is he still with us, Guy and Smith?
Yeah, he is. He does kind of weekend events, apparently, and he because he recently did a new Crab omnibus of just some short stories. He hasn't done anything as big as Crab's Moon, Crabs on the Rampage, Night of the Crabs, Origin of the Crabs, or he hasn't done anything as big as that. Or Crab Sacrifice. Let's never forget that. A later one in the genre.
I haven't seen that one. Have you read these, Michael?
Well, I've read a few of them, and there's one that really sticks out for me, which I can't remember which. It's in the first 2 books. I can't remember which one, but there's a sex scene, and there's a line in it where the man, I can't remember the character's name, I'm afraid, but the man, he said he looked at her vagina and he recognized the 9 men who had been there before and the one who said no.
Well, it was
that's the line that really stuck in my head.
The soft, fluffy triangle of hair withholding secrets.
Yes,
secrets of men who had been there, and of one man who had.
That's it. That's exactly
an incredible piece of.
They've been satisfied on their wildest dreams.
Exactly.
This isn't why any of us read these things, is it?
No. But then I couldn't stop thinking of that when I was reading the Morrissey novel, because it's very similar. It's incredibly similar.
Has Morrissey written a novel?
Oh, you must read it. You'll really love it. He's like a try-hard Guy and Smith.
I can see links between them.
It's like Guy and Smith fan fiction.
Odd. Well, I'd love to see Johnny Marr backing up Guy.
Yeah,
would be fun.
Well, we were only sorry, Robin.
No, it's fine.
No, I was going to say we were only a step away from that when we did our live, entirely improvised crab-based musical at 2 a.m, where we had an opera singer, we had a person with a jazz box, which just seemed to be a metal box, which when turned created the noises of jazz. That was, I think, that was a return to Dadaism that that field in Suffolk wasn't expecting.
Oh, was that at Latitude?
Yeah,
we did the Crabs musical.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, that's the kind of thing that triggers music, doesn't it? I always found but in fact, I remember I first found it in a shop 2 days after Elvis Presley died, or maybe the day he died. Was on a very wet family holiday in Devon in 1977 with my partner at the time and our 2 very young kids, and hadn't managed to get to a pub for 3 days, and then found one at lunchtime, and I just went into this corner shop, and that those racks, the sort of circular towers with.
Yeah, the carousel. Yeah,
the carousel. One of them would have. They used to put American comics in them. I used to read those when I was just coming up to adolescence. But then I was just looking at the carousel, wistfully remembering the time I used to read Green Lantern and The Flash between trolley buses and Bob Dylan, and then lo and behold, I just turned this carousel. Elvis had died, and this thing looked up at me saying Night of the Crabs. And that was it. I read the whole thing in an afternoon. But where did you first find them?
Mine was quite late on. I had a load of that because that was during the boom times for animals, sometimes due to radiation, sometimes just due to accidents within nature itself. There were rats, there were bats, there were locusts, there was the locust one. I think you sent me a copy of Guy and Smith's Locusts, which you found when you were in Australia, and that was a great pity. That never became a series, but it's got a wonderfully suspenseful moment if you remember, where there's a peach tin which the buyers of the new cottage don't know contains the embryos of hungry, angry locusts. So there's a very suspenseful moment where you're uncertain whether they're going to open the peach tin or not. It's not like many other of the locust terrifying novels.
And do they open the peach?
Let's just say it doesn't end up well. For this time, it's not all Wales, it's the border of England and Wales, so it's not as far as Barmouth, but nevertheless.
Funnily enough, he lives on the border, doesn't he? He's a border dweller, Guy and Smith. And he's written, have you read The Thirst?
No.
Well, the water supply gets, again, there's those reservoirs on the Welsh-English border, and I think one of those gets poisoned, and so the entire population of Birmingham gets the bubonic plague, but kind of one after the other. There's a particularly grotesque scene in that between a guy and someone that he'd fancied, and as they're both dying of pustules, one of them says to the other, "You could have had me any time." And then there's the bank manager whose head is stoved in with an ashtray, that dates it, and a biro. But the funny thing is, Guy himself, I think, is a horticulturalist. Hasn't he written books about tomatoes and stuff?
Yeah, I think he's won a pipe smoking competition, as you kind of say. So Cliff Davenport is but there's a lovely book. There's a book he wrote called Writing Horror Fiction, and he talks about where he gets his ideas for his books. And for instance, he wrote a book, I don't know if you remember, called The Fedora. And one day he was at a funeral, and he saw a man in a fedora hat, and he thought, that's an idea for a book. And thus, the book The Fedora was born. So that's him in terms of the creative process.
But is the fedora also a kind of malignant entity? Is it go around killing people?
Do you know what? I've not got, because Guy and Smith's one of those authors that just when you think you've collected, but like Colin Wilson, just when you think he can't have written more than 90 books, you find out that the sucking pit was not the end of the sucking based pits scenario and cannibals.
You mean this? I think that just the sucking pit was not the end is a fantastic sentence on its own. It's not quite a Morrissey album, but it's definitely, we're talking about balance, about indie rock. If I was an indie rocker now, that might be a place to start. Sucking pit was not the end. Oh God, I didn't know. Did you ever read The Slime Beast?
No. Oh no! It turns out I've got Slime and Sludge and Slither, which were in a similar series, but they're not Guy and Smith ones. They're David Halkin, I think.
That's an interesting point, because I found that I was getting a habit from doing Guy and Smith, and I started reading other cheap horror, and I just realised that I had a habit and I had to stop it. It had spread. Developing a taste for that kind of. Once I was reading about sort of fiends tipping sulfuric acid onto the back of helpless old ladies and things, I realised that actually it wasn't doing me any good. Obviously, as somebody who totally lacks empathy, I can absorb an awful amount of stuff, but I had to quit. But The Slime Beast has a great sentence in it where they've discovered this sort of, like the creature from the Black Lagoon, only it's in Berkhamsted or something, pretty close to you, and they find it coming out of an old well in a shopping precinct or something, and they say, God, look at that, bloody hell, what should we call it? I know, let's call it The Slime Beast. So it's that thing when people just find an apt name, but
That has just reminded me. I'm currently reading the Mark Lanigan autobiography that came out. I think it might have come out today. And there's part in it where he was at a party and Kurt Cobain and him decided that He said, you know what? We decided that we were going to record a cover album of John Lee Hooker's song. I remember one of us saying we should record a cover album of John Lee Hooker's song, and the other one of us said, yes, we should. That stayed in the book.
Yeah.
Oh.
Robyn, can we just a couple of things? First of all, I want to make sure that we mention that tomorrow you are doing a gig, basically, aren't you? You're doing a live gig on Wednesday night, aren't you?
Well, I do. Yes, it's 8 p.m. My partner Emma Swift and I, in fact, any technological existence I have, I owe completely to Emma. Emma set this up. Emma and I sit on this very sofa, and we do 2 shows a week. The Wednesday one is 8 p.m. in Nashville, so it's 2 a.m. in Britain. Yeah. So we do one on Friday, which is 2 a.m. in Nashville, which is our UK and continental Europe friendly show. That's at that reaches
at 8 p.m. London,
and they're on stage it, and it's called the Sweet Home Quarantine Show. Emma and I sit here with our various things. If you can see, here's Perry the lobster, Perry the world's straightest lobster. Here's Jermaine the koala, and those are my dad's paintings up there. And so I sit here, Emma sits right next to me, and we play songs. We do requests, and people email in what they'd like to hear, and if we can do it, we will, and we play our own requests. So we do this twice weekly gig, which is instead of us going out and playing live. The tickets are $5, so it's probably about £3. I mean, you can make a donation if you want, or if you're seriously unwaged, we can get you a pass and you don't have to pay at all. I think we have 10 guest passes for each show, so a few people write in, not earning anything. So it's ye sliding scale, sort of, and we play right here, yeah.
Oh, that's really nice, and we should also say, because you had a tour in the UK in the autumn, and that has been moved, hasn't it?
It's been moved. Oh, look, I found a guitar.
Yeah.
My UK tour, I think, has now been moved wholesale to September 2021, by which time either some kind of normal service will have been resumed, or probably the whole thing will be over, and gigs will be a thing of the past. So I've got some dates in March as well, which is still provisionally going ahead, but I know September. I'm playing in a bus museum in Ipswich, in the presence of a trolley bus. So it's exciting stuff, Hebden Bridge, you know Hebden Bridge, the Trades Club.
Oh, the Trades Club is great, yeah.
Just those. I think I'm playing in that Ramsgate Music Hall, trying to do a few. See Morecambe, where Eric Morecambe came from. Sort of seaside-y country places.
Because you've had on the, I don't know if it was the last UK tour, but there was one time, and I missed you by about 2 days. One day I think I was playing Cambridge the same day you were playing Cambridge, which was infuriating. And the other one was you were playing, it was like a church near Newton Abbot. You were in there was which had just fascinated me, these some of the choices.
Yes, I know what you mean. It's called Kinker's World Church.
That's right.
Well, churches were they were early. They were venues. They were built so that they had a kind of that natural reverb in churches long before there were any amplifiers. And the pulpit's always been a stage. And it's interesting now that certainly in the kind of sort of act I am, like a sort of mature cult figure stuff. You'll get like somebody from Squeeze or something, or you'll get people like me, or you'll get genuine folk artists like Martin Carthy, Catherine Williams, people like that. We all start popping up in churches en route to the graveyard.
Well, that was the last time I saw you was in a church in Larne. I think the last time I saw you play live. and it was a lovely gig.
Oh, that was that very cold spring, wasn't it? Do you remember? 2013. Absolutely bloody freezing. And then, and then my life jumped the tracks not long after that, and I found myself in the Isle of Wight, commuting between the Isle of Wight and Sydney, and now Tennessee, but via a lot of airports. Are you thinking you'll be gigging again next year, you guys? Do you think?
Well, I've technically got a tour in October, but again, I don't know if that's going to happen. So
I've got a gig in November, maybe. I don't know. I haven't checked.
To be honest, your gigs have always been unlikely.
Sure, I mean,
ever since you lost the eyebrows, it was a disaster.
My gigs are normally cancelled due to a virus of some sort, so it's business as usual.
The eyebrows, I thought they got thicker as one got older.
Yeah, well, I'm a very contrary man, Robyn. Obviously, I was really looking forward to having thick, weird eyebrows, and I've let myself down.
Like Morrissey.
Yeah.
He's got those sort of schoolmaster eyebrows, hasn't he?
He's got, if nothing else, he's still got incredible eyebrows. Yeah.
They've got thicker. I mean, as one tends to. I had a terrific mop when I was younger, but it seems to have gone, and people cut little bits out of it quite often. So it's not as dark as it was.
Robyn, you've got. Have you got time to do a song for us as well?
I've got a guitar, and so this is what I do in real life.
Brilliant.
Well, what a treat.
So, as it's Cinco de Mayo, the 5th of May, one of the great Mexican festivals, I thought I'd play this heartwarming song. Chip, chip, chipper, up in the crow's nest, upside down face, but it's still so long. Flaking off, breaking off, crumbled and cracking. Time will destroy you like a Mexican god. Dreaming your eyes away, close to the future. Pray for amnesia to finish you off. This is the evil I wish on so many. Time will destroy you like a Mexican god. Moon in a cup, crushed garlic and babies. Sailors all stagnant and bloating and rough. The horror of you floats so close by my window. At least when I die, your memory will wap shoo wa da da wap shoo wa da da. Cruel, magnificent, roasting your people. I am secure at the end of your rod. Cut out my heart and it flies to the ceiling. Time will destroy you like a Mexican god. Time will destroy you like a Mexican god. Time will destroy you. Singing. Ooh, wap shoo wa da da. Ooh, wap shoo wa da da. Ooh, wap shoo wa da da.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for joining us, Robyn. That's off Jules for Sophia, isn't it? Is that right?
It's 20 years, more than 20 years old, that record. It was made around the same time that Hugh Grant and Julia Roberts were making Notting Hill. Or I guess the Bridget Jones one was in pre-production. Yeah, you could still smoke indoors. It was that kind of an era.
I always like the, some people measure out their lives in coffee spoons. You've measured them out in British rom-coms now for many years, haven't you?
Oh yes, that's what we, especially here in America. We love mythical Britain, so we often like to end the day with a Hugh Grant movie or something like that. So I've got the show tomorrow, Wednesday, and I've got the show on Friday. And Friday is must plug this. I'm doing it's Syd Barrett special. Syd Barrett was my sort of major obsession when I was around about 1920, and so I'm going to try and perform the whole of the second Syd Barrett record on this very sofa.
That is brilliant.
And that's the story. But thanks for having me.
Right. No, thanks a lot for doing that, because I know this is your morning, basically, because I think I got an email from you what would have been about 6 a.m. your time. So thank you very much for not having a lie-in and joining us.
Up late, thank you. Yeah, I've got to actually... so does this just carry on? Will you just take me out of the picture?
Yeah. So, thank you so much, Robyn. I'll see you on Friday. I mean, I won't see you on Friday. I will be there, but I won't be there because I am going to come and see it. But I'm not going to be there. But I'm going to be there.
Oh well, thanks for coming. Nice to see you both.
Yeah.
Great to see you.
And is Laura's going to play?
Yeah, Laura's next, and then hopefully next time I see you, we'll be with our mutual dentist.
Oh, OMD. Yes. Yeah. All right. Can I hear what Laura does?
Yeah, sure. We'll take you out of the picture, but you can stay there as well. But you just won't be. No one will see you at home. We can see you, but they can't see you. It's our extra treat. Thank you so much, Robyn. Oh, that brings back the happy memories of being the backing. Were you there that night, Michael? Where I think it was Stuart Lee, Kevin Eldon, Joanna Neary, Alan Moore, and me were the backing singers for Ole Tarantula, the strangest looking Shirelles that have ever existed.
Well, I just remember seeing everyone at Latitude doing Ole Tarantula, but I was too scared to go on stage.
Oh, we had I
mean, the stage would have been on fire in seconds.
What I loved was the fact that, because I think when Robyn, when he said, Alan, do you want to do it? And I thought Stuart was thinking like, oh no, there's no way Alan Moore will become a backing. No, he loved it. It was an absolute delight. That was during those days where I tried to ruin Alan's career by turning him into a cheap stand-up comic down at the Bloomsbury Theatre. He wouldn't have it. We should join Laura now. Hello, Laura. How are you?
Hi. How are you?
Good. So you have now. Penfriend officially was born, publicly born on Friday, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, it's going really well. It's brilliant.
Oh, amazing.
And you have got, this is you were talking about this the other day, but what so much of this about seems the perfect time, even though this was always planned to be now. There was nothing, whether there was going to be a pandemic or not, this was not in it. But this sense of connection was such an important thing
yes.
You've been talking about.
Well, it's something that in my old project, I learned quite quickly that as opposed to having to fight to get everything that I wanted and thought that my music deserved, actually people were quite receptive. And there was absolutely no need to struggle so hard. So the name I used to have, the quite fighty name I used to have, quickly became a bit inappropriate. And so with the new project, because I've got all those people who have been very kindly supporting me for a few years now, I knew that I could invite them on super early. So from the very start of the project last Friday, there's been a members club which has a free tier as well, because I'm trying to be really accessible. And it is something I've been planning for the last 6 to 8 months, I think, in great detail, because I think that stuff is so important. I actually considered putting it off because of the pandemic, because it seems like a terrible time to ask people for money, basically. But then as a musician with no other income, I thought, well, I'll test the water. And so I've been writing weekly emails to my people and getting amazing feedback back from them, saying, yeah, please do. We want something to look forward to. We want to hear your new music. Please do it. And please don't put the launch date back. So I didn't. And I did it for them. And I obviously did it because I want to start sharing my music. And as of, I think earlier on today, it's got about 350 members, this membership club. There's a private forum that we're all part of. And there's membership only posts, and there's going to be a weekly airmail going out, and there's just loads of fun. I spent the day actually making out the welcome packs. So I've got everyone's got a membership card and little treats that I'm sending them in the post, Because I think now more than ever, people need something fun, like those fun moments of escape. And that's what I've always really enjoyed making anyway. And I just think especially now it's nice. I'm enjoying it. So I hope they enjoy it too.
And I think you're right. There is, I think for a lot of us, there's that kind of worry as artists, not merely the idea of, there's no gigs, but also should you at any time be asking for money for people who are up against it. But totally. I also hear we get a lot of feedback and a lot of people saying, well, actually, I'm in a fortunate position. Things are still all right. And I don't want the art centre and I don't want the artists to disappear. And I want these things to keep going. So I think there's a lot of very lovely people out there as well who fortunately at the moment are doing it and who do want to go, well, I want to return to a world which is still filled with artists creating things.
Well, that's absolutely true. And to be honest, I went full-time music just over a year ago. And I spent most of that year when I was writing this new album and coming up with the new name and everything, feeling guilty for not having to do a job I hated, for not having to do freelance work I didn't like much, or that would take me away from songwriting, which is the thing I'm on the planet to do. So once I got rid of that guilt, this pandemic hit and the guilt came back because of being someone who's asking for people's money now. But there will always be something more important in the world than my music. And I'm very humble and I understand that. So, of course, there's more important and pressing needs that people will always have. So I think that not spending the time that I have to do the thing I'm really good at is really ridiculous because I don't have another job anyway. And this is not a time for me to go out and find one. So it really is just doubling down and going, well, this is what I'm doing. And if you want to get involved and if you can pay for it to exist, that's amazing. And if you can't, you can still have it because that's the whole point. And the people who are patrons of the arts at all those different tiers that I have, some really high level patrons down to £2 a month, £5 a month, like significant sums over the year. Like they know that some people will get stuff for free and they don't mind because they want to feel like they're making that stuff happen for me and for other people. And so, to be honest, there's plenty of companies in the world who will take our music and distribute it for free and not recompense us in an adequate fashion. At least I'm choosing to give my music away to people who have invested in me, even just by giving me an email address. So there's a power to that.
Buy albums, we know all along how little money very often goes to the artists, and so I think it's a bit like with Bandcamp Friday as well. These wonderful moments where, and we should hopefully we'll have time after your song to talk quickly about some of the music that I know Michael bought on Friday and some stuff I was buying on Friday, and maybe some of the stuff you were looking at as well. But Laura, what song are you going to play for us?
I'm going to play a song called Sea Shaken. And this is going to be on the new album. And it's not about what's happening now. But as I keep joking, if you write songs about depression and the end of the world in a good time, then it will always be relevant. So this is you can apply it to now if you so desire. So this is Sea Shaken. Voices randomly breathless, gonna get off of this sinking ship, but the water's deafening. I'm still dreaming of drowning, trying to escape this relentless planet, but my sheets are paper thin. Tuck the violence in your pillow, surf the silence, but don't swallow all the tears. Wishing these days could be over, going to bed when it's light outside, and I flew 10,000 miles. I'm sea shaken and screaming, doing my best but I've got to go. Don't expect me for a while. Tuck the violence in your pillow. Surf the silence, but don't swallow all the tears. Tuck the violence in your pillow. Surf the silence, but don't swallow. Tuck the violence in your pillow. Stand and fight now. Meet me tomorrow, darling, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Laura. So people can find your stuff. You're on Twitter as @PenfriendRocks.
I am.
Where else can people go to?
Yeah, just go to the website penfriend.rocks and you can get free stuff from me. And can I tell you who I love on Bandcamp? Is that okay? So please, it also it ties in with Robyn Hitchcock amazingly, because I know that he's good friends with Tanya Donnelly, and she's got a Sunday series, which is beautiful covers that she's doing with friends. So they're going out every Sunday. TanyaDonnelly.bandcamp.com. Yes, the one from Belly, Throwing Muses, and the Breeders. And also Hurtling have got a band, is a band from London, and they've got an album called Future From Here. And Jen from Hurtling used to sing with Robyn years ago. So there you go. Not you, Robyn, the other Robyn. And they are hurtling.bandcamp.com, and they're brilliant, brilliant bands.
They are, and I've got that album, and I like it a great deal. It's a fantastic album. Thank you very much, Laura.
Thanks for having me.
See you later on at some other time at the Stay at Home Festival in the next few weeks, I would imagine.
I love that.
Have a lovely night.
Thanks, chaps. Have fun. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
And we'll join Owen now. He will pop up any second. So what did you buy? Owen, hello.
Owen Parker's here.
So Owen, now first,
am I actually there?
Yeah.
Oh, you're definitely here. You're definitely here.
Yeah.
We wouldn't lie to you.
First of all, thank you so much for writing the music, not merely for Vitriola, but also writing the music for the Stay at Home Festival and all the other stuff.
I was
I've got no interest in any of this.
I spent a year doing Stipe's part on You Woke Up My Neighborhood. So that's that. You went on tour with Billy Bragg. So that's how I could channel my inner Stipe.
Sure. Oh, well, I can't wait to hear it now. I can't wait to hear it.
That is such a great song as well. You Woke Up the Neighbourhood. That is. I mean, I love Billy Bragg anyway, but that album is a beautiful album with so many wonderful, because the Sexuality's on that album, Tank Park Salutes on that album, Dolphins. I think I'm right in saying that those are
Yeah,
we should say that Owen has been on 1 billion albums of various people, like Billy Bragg, Pet Shop Boys, Girls Aloud. That is how we met.
There's a Pet Shop Boys silver disc. It's 60,000. It's not gold. It'll do.
It's fine. It's absolutely fine. As well as Parker's band, of course. You're on band.
Parker's band, yes. We sold some copies. Yes.
I like how you're wearing Club Tropicana cut-off jeans. That's what I'm enjoying right now.
Can you see that?
It's good that George Michael left you something in the will.
Can you see lower than I can?
No, when you stand up and adjust the camera, though, you have changed the angle. That's what happens.
Where you are now. Look at that.
I
thought that was hidden. That's the.
I've
moved it now. Your tech guys can be furious.
When you stand up, we can see everything.
That is a lovely story. If you've seen the film Lemmy, which is all about Lemmy, there's a lovely story. I can't remember which band it was. We're in the same studios as him, and they said it was a hot summer, and every time they went out into the kind of reception area of the studio, Lemmy was playing pinball and as they said, tiny little Daisy Duke shorts, just tiny. And eventually we went, Lemmy, why are you wearing those? And he looked at their cargo shorts. He went, those aren't shorts. These are shorts. Back to the pinball. Oh, yes, fascinating, man.
How have you been finding lockdown creatively, Owen?
Extraordinary. I've not been as creative since I was a teenager. So,
great.
I mean, you know, I had work cancelled. I was supposed to be in Las Vegas for 3 weeks with Robbie Williams, and I had half of a C2C country thing. I was supposed to play the O2 and then the Hydro, and that all got pulled. But I normally procrastinate and go and sit in Cafe Rouge and watch stuff about Mexican drug lords for 2 hours a day, and I can't do that. So
you must be so behind on telly.
No, I'm still watching telly, but in the evening,
right?
And in the day, I do an honest day's work, and I've been getting loads done. It's been amazing. Yeah.
How does it work when you're working with, whether it's Robbie Williams, Pet Shop Boys, Girls Aloud, whatever it might be? Are you able during the downtime of that tour to work on your own work, or do you find that those kind of things when you are working with a big band and you're, doing all that stuff, arrangements for them and all those things, that you become entirely kind of submerged in that?
I'm one of the few. I get really busy on tour because if it's a long tour, I take a separate sort of setup of stuff which goes under the bus, and then whatever venue you're in, I'll set up, and I'll have headphones on, even if it's just a corner of the small dressing room, or if you're on a nice bigger tour, you can get your own room, sort of thing. And I'll just constantly work, and I'd always find that kind of people would come in and be bored, sit there and go, "What are you doing then?" And I go, I'm just and I always felt really lucky that I didn't sit kind of just trolling through YouTube clips and stuff, because I can kind of work anywhere. And so I'd take a MacBook, but I'd have a guitar, a bass, and I'd have speakers, and I'd set up and just carry on, sort of thing, which is what I'm doing now, because it kind of feels like, I just come in here and I'll work, and then I sort of pretend to sort of school my 9-year-old, who's very, very reticent to even write 4 sentences. We got 2 out of him this morning about Second World War, about women's role in Second World War. And I thought both my aunties had worked at Bletchley Park. Turns out not true. So it's all been crushed today because I asked my sisters. Anyway, I digress, but I'm surely that's a good part of this show.
Well, what impresses me is
literally. I mean, we didn't have to say anything because both of us at once, and this was wonderful for us. Yeah. It's like Robyn and I just watched you. Went, oh, you're like the Godley and Creed video of us.
You make me want to cry. That's it, and that's the punchline. Yes.
So. Yeah, there we go. A couple of we're talking about Bandcamp Friday, and I think a lot of people went on that day because they knew that all the money would go to the bands. Was there anything that any bands that you would like to recommend for the time being?
I guess Hurtling, because I went to college with Jen Macro.
This is all linking too much now. So
isn't it lovely?
Yeah.
And Jen's a very good friend of mine, and she obviously played with Robyn. Not this one, the one who was on earlier.
The real one.
the real one. And yes, so the Hurtling album, plus my album, the Parker's Band album, came out in 2018, was recorded at the same studio where the Hurtling album's done in Brixton. One cat studio run by John, so John Clayton. So there we go.
We really need to broaden our guest list, Michael.
Yes. It just always revolves around.
I don't like meeting new people.
Can I recommend one of the things I bought on Bandcamp? MJ Hibbert's new EP.
Oh, right.
MJ Hibbert writes these wonderful songs, which are very much about kind of office life and pub life, and it's got I've written it because it's called "People Are All Right When They're Given Half a Chance," which is his new EP, and that's the title song, and it's a lovely song. And some of the other, also a band I should mention, Utilitarian, who Utilitarian, do you, Michael?
No, don't think so.
You will like it. It's very noisy. And
I do like a bit of noise.
You might know Stormbeard, who on Twitter. I was just listening to that this afternoon. That's a lovely kind of noisy thing. John Mouse. Have you bought any of the John Mouse stuff I was recommending?
No, I haven't.
You will love it. I saw John Mouse at the Green Man Festival many years ago. And we often talk about that brilliant Malcolm Middleton and David Shrigley album, and John Mouse has some of that sensibility of a wonderful, like the strange sense of humour and stories that lie within. Is really, really good. So John Mouse, in fact, you can buy the whole of his catalogue for not that much money at all. Haiku Salou, who are on I never know if it's PRA Recordings or PRA. Recordings. Their album The General is it's kind of like instrumental versions of a band like Lanterns on the Lake, so I would highly recommend that. And I thought Stuck Inside by The Rifles, so I know nothing about The Rifles, but Stuck Inside, which is a song they've brought out which fits in perfectly with what's going on at the moment, I thought was a really beautiful indie pop song, really fantastic. So there are some of my Bandcamp recommendations.
Well, I've got one, but it's a biggie, Robyn. On Bandcamp Friday, Arab Strap released Arab Strap Archive. 20 albums. Admittedly, some of the albums have only one track on them. Only like one or two. But there's 20 albums. Some of them are very long albums. Some of them aren't so long. But I bought all 20 albums. And I've heard all 20 albums. And quite frankly, I started to get jealous of a thing on Twitter called #BoxedIn, where I just kept seeing people going, "Oh, do you know what? I bought this Pixies box set." As we're, in isolation, I think I'll listen to that and I'm like, "Oh, that's what I want. I want to get a box set." And I kept looking at jazz box sets. This is what I want. I want a good jazz box set. But nothing really appealed. Thank you. That is... Hey, exactly. I needed some jazz for this riff, man. Keep on going, Owen. Keep on going, Owen. Why is that not your catchphrase?
You carry on, and I'll underscore.
And the thing is, Daddy-O Jazz was not doing it for me. Jazz just wasn't doing it for me. And then Arab Strap released Arab Strap Archive. Robyn, I've been doing these online streaming shows for the past few nights, and at the end of these shows, what I do is I close my laptop and then I go downstairs, I pour myself a beer and I sit in the garden and I listen to a live Arab Strap album. And the darkness and the isolation make it the most beautiful experience you could possibly have during this terrible time. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure I want this to end if Arab Strap keep releasing brilliant archive material. And that's a recommendation.
Now that was what I find sad about that is you were probably one of the great authorities on jazz. Not that long ago, you were a guy who had you had a CD of jazz. You had built up a CD of jazz.
Right.
It was
wasn't
incredible.
Anything about jazz I didn't know.
No,
I had a CD.
You had that jazz poster.
Yeah, of course I had a jazz poster.
You were one of the best in terms of air saxophone.
I thought about smoking.
Yeah.
So there was
now, can I just say, Michael, how did you say I thought just did that? Just when you were thinking about smoking.
Yeah,
seeing you.
That's how close I got to smoking.
Doing a bit of one-handed saxophone as well.
Yeah.
So the jazz thing's over then. What are you going to do with all the jazz album?
Oh, listen, I like my jazz archive is still there.
Right.
So those 6 songs are fine.
Good.
6 songs, 1 album, mate. What else do you need?
Because that is going to be one of those sad moments when, God forbid when you go, Michael. But I think
God will forbid it.
I
as
think
soon
he will.
As I die, God will go, no, I'm having nothing to do with him. He's alive again.
Put him with the atheists. But yeah, the arguments over that jazz collection, I think, is going to be quite feisty amongst the family.
Well, that's my big recommendation of the week. Go to Bandcamp, go to Arab Strap Archive, and you can pay what you like. Don't pay what you like if you're only going to pay a little amount.
Yeah, it's always that's a difficult thing to work out, isn't it? It's like when it actually says, for instance, £8 or more, and you go, well, that's going to be a tenner, kind of with VAT. But are they actually saying, if you give me how much we've asked, you're an awful human being?
Yeah, it sort of is.
Quiz, no, well, or more. But I'm going to buy a lot of albums.
It's really, it is very guilt tripping.
Yeah.
Bandcamp's very guilt tripping.
But I feel good. I was going to mention one more. Also recommend Bandcamp. Simone and Garfinkel. I think I have got, as far as I remember, they. I think
Simon and Garfunkel. That was really.
Really
embarrassing, Robin. Really
embarrassing. Garfunkel. And they played on our Simone and Garfunkel played on some of the shows that I did with Josie and Helen Chersky and others out in Australia and New Zealand. One that I really liked. We should finish off by mentioning a couple of things. One of which is we can't not mention the death of Dave Greenfield, which I think is. It was one of those kind of quite shocking ones because I'd seen they were still a brilliant band. That's one of the things.
Yeah.
He was still. But
we're talking about the Stranglers, by the way. He hasn't got who we're talking about. The Stranglers.
Yeah. Hopefully they knew that. Yeah, Dave. He was. But he was, if you listen to those songs and you listen to what he was doing, the key, and I love the fact, I didn't know this, that he used to say, I didn't really know anything about the Doors. I was very much doing Rick Wakeman. You can see why in the 1970s and the 80s, the NME and the other, music publications, which were kind of like, we don't like the Stranglers going, and not only that, their keyboardist is elevating Rick Wakeman. But I saw them last at, I think it's one of my good bits of good parenting. It was pouring with rain at Beautiful Days Festival, and I insisted that my son go and watch the Stranglers with me, not just on his own. We both went, and I'm glad because eventually he did enjoy it. Once Hanging Around was the song that really got him. But they were, I mentioned it last time we did the Vitriola podcast. Not only were they brilliant, not only did the whole field, even though it was really, really pouring down, no one left. It was an absolutely packed field. Everyone was drenched and having a fantastic time. And beyond that, then there was a beautiful moment where they stopped about 50 minutes in and went, and they went, sorry, we've just been playing really fast and we've realised we can fit another song in. 2 songs, we can fit 2 more songs in, and that to me, a band where JJ's in his late 60s, Dave at that point was 70 years old. It didn't matter. So Dave Greenfield, I think, was brilliant.
Well, JJ didn't play on Golden Brown, which is their biggest hit, which is very proggy. Apparently, because he was always playing it in Soundcheck, and they moved it into that. If you want to know why it's proggy, it goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's why it's proggy. So there's the Rick Wakeman. There's the
prog lesson.
There you go.
Prog lesson. And by the way, I'm only telling you this because of your Stranglers anecdote. There's a great acoustic live album on the Arab Strap archive, and it's particularly good because what Arab Strap did, it was pretty fans only, very I think it was only 150 people in the audience, and they said just write down any song, put it in a hat, and we'll pull them out and we'll play it. And they pulled about 30 songs out. Yeah, we should have said Arab Strap songs. So they're doing Van Halen covers and AC/DC covers. Brilliant.
Well, one of the greatest Scottish Van Halen covers is, of course, Aztec Camera's version of Jump.
I've not heard that. I've not heard that.
I think it must have been around the time the album Knife came out. I can't remember what the A-side was. But yeah, look up Van Halen, Aztec Camera doing Jump. It's fantastic.
Well, Arab Strap do Why Can't This Be Love? And it's amazing. Great. It's exactly that.
See, what we need...
Why can't we have going on all the time? I like the musical accompaniment. I like it.
So, Owen, where can people find out where they can get things that you've created?
Parker's Band, named after the Steely Dan song, or Apple Music, or all the others. Or you can find our website, which is he looks to remember whether it's .com or .co.uk. Did he buy both on GoDaddy when he was drunk one night? It's .com, parkersband.com. Obviously still got a garage full of CDs. Never actually approved the vinyl test pressing. I think, Michael, you bought one, so I still owe you £20. Yeah, it's very weird trying to get stuff out on vinyl. You put Jerk out on vinyl and it was fine.
Yeah.
I got my test pressings of the album twice.
Oh, it's a nightmare trying to vlog it, mate.
No, but I couldn't. It was too quiet, and yeah. So yeah, parkersband.com. There will be a second album because let's face it, I've got the time, so yeah, that's what I'm going to work on after I've been working on other people's stuff.
But you can buy it on Bandcamp though as well, or have I got that wrong?
Yes, because is that the thing that you told me when you put the thing out through when you put Jerk out? You printed out the things and I put them in the CD. Is that right?
I don't know.
Google's
this
is like a long time ago.
Watching two old men in a pub trying to work out how capitalism can benefit them is a beautiful thing to watch.
You can buy it on eBay, amazingly, for $2.99. Parker's.
You were a terrible salesperson. I was really bad.
I take that as a compliment.
There's a guy who's put a load of them in his bin. I'll give you the address.
He lives next door to eBay central office. Oh no, that's Amazon. Milton Keynes. Do you get stuff delivered quickly because you're near, or do you not buy from Amazon? Are you ethical?
I'm not. The only person I buy from at the moment is my mate Jeff Towns, who runs a mobile bookshop called Dylan's after Dylan Thomas, and he has been putting up the most. I don't know if I've still got it. I showed it this morning on the show. A copy of Men Only from 1942. And the reason I bought it is in those days the cover of Men Only was an avuncular picture of Stalin. So that's
hubba.
Oh, here we go. That's the old days.
Yeah. Well, he's a man.
Yep.
Right, we're on Bandcamp. We're called Parker's Band. Parkersband.bandcamp.com.
I'm going to recommend Parker's Band's album because I think it's properly beautiful. It's very sensitive and it's often very funny album. I think it's really, really, really excellent. I love it.
Brilliant. We better let Trent go to bed now because we've got to get up in the morning. Yeah. Another one of these shows. Owen, thank you so much for joining us. Michael, because finally we got Robyn Hitchcock on, who one of your great heroes.
My Dylan.
I kind of hijacked it and ended up talking about the slime beast and giant.
Mate, you probably did it out of blind panic. You knew I was going to say something awful, so thank you.
Well, I could tell in Robin's eyes that for the first 20 minutes, he didn't know if you were going to start getting up and dancing in the middle of the room and ruining every anecdote like you did when you saw him at the Jazz Cafe.
Oh, was it the Jazz Cafe? Or one of the incidents was the Jazz Cafe?
One of the incidents.
Yes.
We'll talk about the 12 Club.
It was the major one.
Wasn't his fault. 12 Bar Club was his fault. Thanks very much, everyone, for watching. If you can, when you leave, pop something in the tip jar. Obviously, don't worry if you can't, but if you can, as I said, we've managed so far to distribute about £15,000 to artists and art centres, and also go to Vitriola. Have we got a Patreon for Vitriola or anything like that? We've never made anything like that.
Why would we? We have nothing to give.
Yeah.
Oh, but I tell you what, if you do go to Patreon and put in Robyn Hitchcock, he's got a Patreon page, and you can. I think for $5 a month, you get 3 new songs, unreleased songs, and all sorts of writings and stuff. And I think that's a pretty good deal.
Or you can go to the Cosmic Shambles Patreon one. Maybe that would have been a nice thing to say. I've supported you throughout your career. Thanks very much. And always remember, crabs the size of beach donkeys. See some of you tomorrow at 10 o'clock where we have Claudio Dotti and Maeve Higgins and music from the FGs as well. Owen,
bye.
Thanks out.